All right, this is the Community Christian Podcast.
It's fun.
And it is. And you might expect us this week to talk about the alien information the Pentagon released, or what's current in the news, or volcanoes going off. But we decided to do something different with our May series this year.
Yeah, we're going to talk about fun. Although I think those aliens, they look like angels from Ezekiel chapter 1. I'm just saying.
Oh, man. Now we do a whole angels and demons thing. I mean,
Hunter can do that.
No. We talk about those things once in a while. And we'll come back to it sooner or later in Scripture. But we did decide to do something different going into this summer. And we felt like it's needed. We know that some of us are wound a little bit tight. There is a lot going on in the world. There's always a lot going on in the world. And we decided to do a whole 3-week series on fun. So you got to preach a couple services this week. I preached a couple of our services, and we tried to have some fun. And I had one guy walk up to me afterwards and say, man, every church needs to do this sermon, right? Just sometimes we need to realize Christ is alive and the gospel is good news. Yeah. And there's some enjoyment in life to be had, along with, as Ecclesiastes said, the hard work, the mission, the purpose that God has given for us. So did you enjoy preaching? Was it fun? And do you have some good jokes?
Yeah, I did good. I mean, I did.
I did good.
Yeah, I felt good about it. I had to run through it on Saturday with my wife because it was Mother's Day.
She saw, this is what you guys are doing for Mother's Day?
That's what she said.
Yeah, no doubt.
She said, I go, hey, all I'm doing is saying what Will said. And I said that a couple of times.
Not fair.
It's true, though. I'm like, no, she gave me some good feedback on a couple of spots. But yeah, I'm actually not at Foxworthy very much, so that's a little bit more of a fresher crowd for me than getting some laughs out of Morgan Hill. Morgan Hill's kind of heard a lot of my bits. So yeah, I had a good time up at
the Foxworthy campus enjoys it when you're there.
Yeah,
some of the fun humor. I heard positive things yesterday. So
it was good.
This series is fun because we get to tell some stories.
Yeah.
We talk about it often. Our background is youth ministry. Our also background is, we were blessed and still are to have some really good friends around that are fun and enjoy fun, that we've had adventures with over the years. And we know not everybody has that in every season of life. And I'm grateful for that. And I want to have fun in the journey. And so that's what we talked about yesterday. Joy in the journey. Raising kids is not easy. It was Mother's Day. What mothers do, man, just they're the heroes, right? They hold families together in many ways, and the nurturing aspect they bring to kids. Yeah. And they're, I know for my wife, right? She's engaged so much in making our home and our kids' lives happen, and even my ministry in support of that, as she's also working. So raising kids is hard. Work is hard. The educational world can be hard. The political world economic things can be hard, but in the midst of that, we do want to have some joy.
Yeah, I think back, you mentioned being a youth pastor. We studied under a youth pastor that taught us how to have fun, that modeled it like Les Christie. We went out to lots of lunches with him where he would make fun at lunch, or grew up around his house. He was always trying to have fun. I think about your dad as an employee. I only knew your dad as an employee first, and he taught us how to have fun. I think he modeled fun for you. At least that's what I've heard. I know he's your dad too, but I think his day off was sacred for you guys as kids. I've heard all three of you talk about, Dad picked us up on, I think Wednesdays was his day off. And there were times when, he would have a special trip in there, or you did fun things. I've been in spaces with your dad where it was me and other people, and he made us have fun as a work, he's like, let's go to the Giants game. And so we went to a Giants game, and then we had to go get in and out. We had to eat a lot at the Giants game. Then on the way home, we had to eat In-N-Out, and then next to the In-N-Out was a Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, let's get some donuts too.
So and I was a wee man back then, and it was a lot of food, but it was all in the name of fun. And
well, he knew you got to hit the release valve once in a while, and so you knew. Right? We believe in hard work. We talk about that all the time, right? As a staff, we're not just joking around here. We have a mission. We believe in it. We love it. We love this church, but there's times where you got to be able to laugh, slow down for a minute, right? You got to understand the seasons and the flows and the rhythms of life. And that's true, right, for your work teams and your families. Yeah. And there's got to be times where you slow down and intentionally create some fun. That's that was one of the things we talked about yesterday, coming out of Solomon's writing of, hey, have some fun in this life, right? There's nothing better than that. Enjoy that along with hard work. So the two go together. This isn't about slacking off and not working hard. In fact, man, life can be fun. I said this yesterday, when you're working hard. When people look back, like we look back at our time doing youth ministry, even the last few years of Community Christian, we talk to our business owners about the beginning of their business and all the energy and extra hours. But those are also sacred times where they laughed and they had fun and they were creating and they cherished the people they built that thing with, and they look back and go, that was actually really good.
Yeah,
the two go together.
The two go together, and you have to. And I think that's what Solomon's saying. I don't think he says it in a positive light. I think he's a little emo. I think he's a little, maybe depressed or going through a midlife crisis. But his point is the same. Life is hard. It's hard work. You might as well enjoy it while you have to work hard and while life is difficult, you know? And so I think that's important. I think...
And as you said, he's trying to understand what life is about.
Right.
These few years that we have on this earth, what does this mean to be under the sun, on this earth? And he's trying to understand, with the way life ends, and again, that short amount of time, where's God in this? How does God work? What's God's expectation for us? And he's trying to, come, like you said, maybe in a moment of depression, working through all these things, and he's had all these pleasures, and he's lived life to the fullest, having great wealth. What actually has value.
What matters,
and I think he's, having fun and enjoying life. I asked yesterday, he talks in there about, having a meal. When's the last time for some of our attenders that you stopped and actually just enjoyed a meal? You didn't just rush through it. You weren't just getting on to something else that day, but you actually sat with people and there wasn't a big rush and you could be at a table for a couple hours, whether that was in a home or a restaurant, and tell stories and laugh and just be together. And there's something so good. We all have memories of moments like that, and it's so good when it comes along. And again, I think we have to be intentional in creating that space, but we're very much rushed off to the next thing in our culture.
Yeah. And so I think even in that light, my wife and I, we have, 4 kids, and we have a lot of dinners on couches, not on purpose, but, there are times where Jen just intentionally says, we're sitting at the table, and we're going to sit around the table, and we could probably do it more than we do, especially now that we're not doing a lot of softball right now. But it matters being around that table. It forces everyone to take a break, forces everyone to put down their device. I'm not talking about hours. I'm talking about 15, 20 minutes. It doesn't take a long time to eat a meal, but it does force us to talk to one another and take a breath. And I think it's part of. And it's fun. Usually we laugh a lot because we're all sitting there and we start laughing because we start hearing about what's going on in people's day or week or whatever, or somebody says something silly. Yeah.
There's got to create space for that. And so, my hope in this series is that people will be intentional as they look at the summer of 2026. We know there's a lot to do.
Sure.
All right. I know for some parents, we can kind of get into summer and you can think, I just got to get through all these weeks to get back on my school schedule. Now, I'm really hoping you don't do that.
No.
And again, fun doesn't have to be expensive either. Hey,
That's
you can grab dinner or take dinner to the park.
Yeah.
Hang out, kick the soccer ball around, or hang out, or maybe as a couple or with a group of friends if you're single or part of our young adults group. Like, go to the park, play some cards,
play a board game.
Yeah, hit up the beach. I mean, there's so many things to do. We have so many trails. We live in such an amazing area, right? That is so beautiful. But somebody's got to plan it and be intentional. Say, hey, Friday night, let's go do this.
Yeah.
Or Saturday night, we're sitting at the table. We're not sitting in front of the TV. And I just want to encourage, particularly parents coming off Mother's Day weekend and heading to Father's Day weekend in a month, to do those things. Those things matter because, again, we know that kids thrive in homes where there's some playfulness and there's some fun. Again, it doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to run off to Disneyland, right? You don't have to hit some beach resort to have those moments, right? And again, you're not going to have that time of laughter unless you create that space. So we talked a lot about intentionality, and I think that was big for me yesterday. So you had a thought. Sorry.
I had a thought on that. Yeah. I mean, probably in your context, in your family, there's someone who has the capacity and the drive to be the planner, and more than your partner, or depending on season of life, one of you is going to be higher up on the planning stage. I think one of the things in our family is we need to let it's important that we let our kids know what the plan is. We have a couple of kids that's really important to them. So they'll come up the night before and be like, what's the plan for tomorrow? Yeah. They're not trying to get in our business. They're trying to like
it's how God's designed them.
Yeah.
Right. I have one like that. What's the plan? What's the details? And they're organized and they're going to be great planners of fun.
Right.
And
exactly.
Yeah.
And they just kind of want, and I think whether they realize it or not, they're just trying to be emotionally ready for whatever. And they, in our family, they know there might be some knuckleballs in there as well. So the schedule might not be on walk. We'll see what else happens.
Yeah, there's a little flexibility.
But when it comes to like Jen and I's relationship, we have to make sure that whichever one of us is doing the planning, that the other one knows and that the other one can kind of pregame for that too in their own schedule, that they have space to decompress from whatever their day is to go on to the next thing. And there's times when, we're off to a lot of our time is going to a ball game or whatever, and then or maybe it's something out of school, and we just need to know what the plan is so that we can be emotionally ready for the next thing, or we can really, it comes down to changing gears, right? For most of us, we're doing 6 or 7, 8 hours of work somewhere else, and then we come home and we still got 5, 6 hours left of the day with our family, and we need to have some space. And usually it's not the time that you're in traffic going home that's going to help you get ready for the fun that you could have in the evening.
Yeah.
Especially right now when I love the spring and summer when it's just light for a long time.
You just have more light. Take advantage of it.
Yeah.
That's part of why we're talking about this. I think what you're saying here, it's important. Fun looks different. Right. For different people. Extroverts, introverts is very different. The extrovert who's spontaneous is like, I decide right now, let's go do this, and it's fun. That's fun for you.
Yeah.
Be aware of your spouse. Be aware of your kids.
You said that better than me.
Set it up well is what you're saying, right? Because what's fun for you might not be fun for someone else, and that's learning. And again, this all takes intentionality to get to that space. But if you don't plan it in, it won't happen. So for instance, we know there's rhythms of the year. So we know there's big pushes in church ministry towards, certain services. Easter is an example. So I know after our team puts in a lot of work leading up Easter to serve people, we did 9 or 10 services over that weekend, that we're going to close the office on Monday that week. And then on Tuesday, we're probably going to have a meal together. We're still going to have a meeting during that meal, but we're going to share a meal together, kind of celebrate what's happened. But because they put in a lot of extra hours, a lot of extra work, okay, where's that release valve? Where's some space for them to have fun? Or where do I plan on a Tuesday when we usually have our meetings? Hey, instead of doing that, we're going to spend part of that time and laugh together, do something fun, right? And we see major companies, corporations do that all the time, where they take people off campus, go to a ball game, do different things, right? Even do service projects, something that is a change of pace. And we need that. But somebody, again, has to plan it, has to organize it and think ahead. And maybe that's you, or maybe you need to find the right person in your circle of friends and encourage that, hey, you're a planner, you're a thinker. Like, let's work on this together. I'm with you, but my mind doesn't work in that way.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I guess the challenge is for some of you that are waiting for the fun to happen to you, that can get really lonely very quickly. And so as best you can, and I don't think that that's easy either. Yeah. As best you can, plan some fun for yourself, or be the one that reaches out. Be the person that makes the phone call. Don't be the person that's sitting at home saying nobody invited me in. And I know that's hard for some of us, but it's worth the try.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, you got to put it out there.
Yeah.
Let's touch on one more thing as we close out here. We talked yesterday, Proverbs talks about how when we have, in a sense, kind of a melancholy spirit live in that space, that it dries up the bones is the language that's used. And I just want to remind people, it's okay to grieve.
Oh, yeah.
We go through difficult seasons, hard seasons, but it's okay to let the joy of the Lord come into that, and moments of laughter or rays of sunshine to come into that. And you can't live in that space all the time. It's okay to have fun. And so we're going to talk about that this week, that you have permission. It's okay to enjoy life, enjoy people, enjoy a meal, enjoy a good time, even in the midst of some difficult things. You're not being disrespectful of those, right? We're not going to skip past grieving. We're not going to skip past hurt. We're not talking about any of that. But some of you, some things happen in your life and you have just lived in this down space for years. Like, I just got to stow. That thing was so big that my only response is to just be down or to be melancholy. And no, there needs to be some joy in your life. Yeah. There needs to be some fun, and that's okay, because if not, your bones dry up. You get dusty, as you said it yesterday so well. And the people around us get dusty dusty too, right? Again, we're going to grieve together. We're going to go through hard times, but we got to have moments where there's some balance.
Yeah. Solomon told us that, right? In Ecclesiastes, there's a time and a season for everything. There's absolutely time for grieving. There's time for repentance, but there's also time for fun. There's time for joy. There's time for celebration. And so we have to have those things in balance. And hopefully we have a little bit more joy than all the other things too.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to continuing this series with you. See you at service this next week.